Beautiful. All right. Welcome to the doggone truth about rescue. We somehow are already here starting season 4, and we are kicking it off very differently than our past seasons. Usually we always do it with Jen
Wait,
Belsk, our founder.
sorry, aren't we going to do this podcast after?
I don't know, you tell me.
That's what Jen wanted to do. Cause
Okay,
she,
never mind. Delete that.
okay, you get what I'm saying? So just play it off like it's another episode
And then air the kickoff episode, and then this is episode 2.
two, right?
Sai's been reading the messages. Okay, just kidding. Welcome back to the doggone truth about rescue. On today's episode, we are diving into a topic that we don't talk enough about and we need to do better this season, and that is cats. And there's a lot of changes happening with Always and Forever, and we are very excited to have on the episode this evening Elizabeth. Is it Haney? I want to make sure I'm saying it right.
Yes.
Elizabeth Haney. So welcome to the doggone truth about rescue. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, I'll give you the mic to kind of give us your background, how long you've been with Always and Forever, and what your new position is within the organization.
Yeah. So I became aware of Always and Forever when we went to our local PetSmart in Olathe, where I live. And there was a kitten there that my kids and my husband, we were all excited. And of course, being who I am, I called Beth like 85 times and asked for an update on how my application was coming. And sadly, there was another pre-approved adopter that got that kitten, but Beth invited us over to her house to go to the cat lounge where she had tons of kittens. And so me, my husband, and my 3 kids, we left with 3 kittens.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's just how we roll. So and then from there I kind of waited a little bit to begin my foster journey. I waited till my youngest started preschool so I would have a little bit more time and flexibility. And from there I love taking in the more complex cases, the amputees. I've taken in cats with chin degloving, bite abscesses, and I also do bottle babies. So I have actually 5 right now, a litter that was brought to the Little Red Barn. And so I've got them in incubators in my basement. I also really enjoy socializing semi-ferals or fearful kind of strays that have been brought in. I really enjoy doing that too. So I think since I started fostering in March of 2023, I think I have adopted out and fostered and adopted out 150.
Wow.
Yeah, no, so I'll take like full litters of kittens. And I have 3 kids. They're 11, 8, and 5 now. And so they have been an integral part of the work that I do in socializing the kittens and doing meet and greets. And it's just been really great to be able to now, as cat coordinator, I've kind of experienced Always and Forever, first as an adopter, then as a foster, then as kind of a lead medical foster, and then now as coordinator. And so Beth did an absolutely phenomenal job building a cat program from scratch. And there's been so many things that she has done just perfectly. And then there's, of course, as we grow and things are changing. So for example, I'm not sure if Jen's let you guys know, but we now have a medical coordinator who is helping us now with, health issues that crop up. We get that a lot with our little kittens. They're very medically fragile. And so she was also kind of helping coordinate with our vet for well appointments, sick appointments, spay, neuter kind of surgery, all kinds of stuff. So, but I'm the foster and adoption gal. I kind of manage all of our fosters. We have an amazing team, an amazingly talented and dedicated team who works so hard to save cats' lives. And it's an honor to be given the chance to kind of take the baton and run from where Beth left off.
That is an incredible journey. 150 cats is a crazy number to think about. So thank you.
Not all at once, don't worry.
Yeah, but that's a lot of mouths that you have
Yeah.
fed and
Yeah.
nurtured into their forever
Oh
home.
yes, a lot of scooping.
Do you know offhand how many cats and kittens are currently within the Always and Forever organization?
Yes, I believe we have 115 now.
Okay.
And of those, we have, I think 6 or 7 are on the Missouri side. So I just manage the Kansas side.
Okay.
For now, that's kind of just how it's set up. And Shelby sort of handles the few that we have in Missouri right now. And then of course we have, I think 6 or 7 in Wichita. And so the rest of them are all at PetSmart, which I manage, and in our Kansas fosters, which I manage. And then we have our growing population of cats at Oz.
Oh, wow. Right. Because they're at the Gray Barn now too.
There's
correct?
2 at the Gray Barn right now. I think our goal is to eventually have everything moved over to Homestead. So right now we sort of have an intake freeze on the Missouri side. So
Okay.
I'm just focusing on the Kansas side, and there's laws with health certificates and crossing state lines, and I try not to mess with that. And unfortunately, Missouri has a huge cat dumping issue in the heart of Independence. I've heard that some of the streets, like the side streets, they look like the streets of Istanbul, where there's like a dozen cats just sitting in on roofs of cars. And and I think the root of a lot of this, I think, is that at the beginning of COVID, a lot of people got pets. They thought it was cute. And then, financially, it is expensive. I mean, owning a cat is maybe not as expensive as owning the dog, but you still need to pay for food and flea preventatives. And of course, spay and neuter surgery is, it's one of those things that people think they can skip, and a cat can escape very quickly. And a female cat can have 5 litters a year, and that's an average of 4 kittens in each litter. So that could be anywhere from 18 to 25, 30 kittens a year one female can produce, starting when they're about 6, 7 months old.
Every single time I hear that fact, my brain cannot
Yeah.
comprehend that of
Oh
how
yeah,
quickly they can turn around a litter and then get
very
pregnant
quickly.
again. Oh,
There's been cases they've heard of some cats ovulating within 3 days of giving birth. Typically, it's a little bit later, but yeah, they can definitely get pregnant while they're nursing.
oh my gosh. Can you you mentioned how expensive it is to own a cat. Can you kind of talk about more details on the fostering program if someone was interested in fostering one of the kittens and
Yeah.
what's provided with Always and Forever?
Yeah. Yeah. So usually what happens is kind of what happened with me. Somebody expresses interest in a kitten, and maybe they have a pre-approved adopter waiting on them for them to be ready. On our website, we post our kittens. We love to show the pictures. Everybody loves to see the tiny babies. There's some babies on there that are hours old, days old. The group that I got that's in my basement right now, Jen drove up to my house from the Little Red Barn and brought them to me in a container, and they were anywhere from 3 to 5 ounces, and I would guess about 10 days old, maybe slightly younger. And so what usually people are interested in a kitten, and then from there we say, well, that one's not available, but you know what we're looking for. We kind of rope them in, right? And say, if you foster a litter of kittens, you can get the pick of the litter, which is this is how people get roped in. But you know what, it really is, it's amazing. And even if people only do it for one litter, honestly though, they come back to help us again, especially if everything was a success the first time around, with getting kittens healthy and growing and into homes. So with the fostering process, you'd put in an application, and a lot of people always start off with, oh, I just want one or maybe two, just take it easy. And so what I usually do with my newer fosters is they will get one adult or a nursing mom with kittens, or a small litter of weaned kittens who are already eating wet food. So something around 4 to 5 weeks. And so from there, Always and Forever provides the food, and we provide the litter. We provide all of the vetting that's needed, any flea treatment that's needed. We do get nice, generous donations of blankets and beds, but oftentimes a lot of the fosters have a specific aesthetic, or they have specific things they like to use in their house. But we do offer them, whatever we get donated, scratching boxes and all that. And so we also do, most of our vetting is done at Heritage Animal Hospital down in South Olathe. And so, and they do the bulk of our work, with the exception of going to Blue Peril for those unfortunate emergency sort of situations, which do come up. We had a Glory. She was in a pregnant female in respiratory distress and had to have an emergency C-section. She had developed pneumonia, and 3 out of her 6 kittens survived, which is actually really, really great. So they're 2 out of the 3 already have homes lined up. So, because people love the story, they've been following it since the C-section, like the little birth announcement kind of thing. So, so the fosters typically transport down to Heritage and back, and Always and Forever also has a great team of drivers that can help, if people are working and they can't get down there in time or back in time for when the vet hours are, they'll do that. And I work the applications for the Kansas City area, and I will help I encourage them to promote their cats on our Facebook group and bring them to PetSmart, and I run adoption events about 2 weekends a month. And so we move our cats, like we get them adopted. And I pride myself on going through those applications and making sure that they're quality people, because we don't have adoption fees, right? And so when you have somebody come in and see, oh, they're free, it's like, well, no, they're not. There's of course the cost of pet ownership, but also we make them go through a pretty rigorous application process to make sure that they are fully committed to caring for the cat and making sure that the cat is always indoors and receives a regular vet care, that you never declaw the cat, and then I keep a very close contact with my personal fosters, and I also encourage my other fosters to keep in touch with the people who adopted out their kittens, so they can kind of give them a little bit of guidance. Sometimes they'll need a little help with, hey, how do I introduce them to the resident cat? And I walk them through that process. And I'm very proud to say the returns are very, very low. We don't get a lot of calls of, oh gosh, I can't do this, because most of the time, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if the dog and the cat are going to get along. I'm like, listen, let me tell you, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either the cat is going to absolutely love the dog and let the dog wash them like a little kitten. They sometimes want to continue to be babied, especially if they're bottle babies and they love to be held all the time. They just want to be like coddled. Or the cat is going to smack the dog in the face, and the dog is never going to bother the cat again. And it's going to be fine. So in the 2.5 years that I've been doing this, I have not had a return because of a dog, at least that I'm aware of. So I pride myself on making those matches good. Our fosters do a great job getting to know the personalities of the pets and communicating that with me. And we have a really nice system going. So we've got a well-oiled machine that's set up, and that's kind of what we do here on the cat side.
That is amazing. You took the last question right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you about introducing cats to
Yep.
dogs, because we're such a heavy organization with dogs, so that's where people are going. But then
Yes.
I find myself looking at the kittens and cats all the time too, of like, do I want a kitten?
You know you do. If it's in your heart. But that's the thing. I am the person at the adoption events. There's always, when a couple is there and they're looking at them, the family is there. It's so fascinating watching the dynamics. Oh my gosh, because I can tell immediately like who's gonna be the one to rain on this parade. And I can sense it. I've done this so many times. I'm like, I know who's gonna rain on the parade, and I hand that person the kitten. And it's yeah. It's people have a lot of misconceptions about cats and cat people. I think now with consent being a big thing, and people also not being able to afford large places to live, cats have become a lot more popular now, I think. And if you look at, I saw an interesting statistic the other day that I think 30% millennials make up the greatest percentage of cat owners. And it's interesting because I'm a cat person and I have always been a cat person. And it's funny, my husband is not a cat person. Well, he said they were okay, but then of course we got married, and now we have a lot of cats, and they of course love him more than anything in the world. They're his favorite. So and he loves them too. He'll buy stuff. He'll say, "Don't open the Chewy box. There's nothing in there." I'm like, "What's in there?" He's like, "It's not a special Halloween house. It's not a house. It's not a scratching haunted house." I'm like,
But
"I knew you liked them." He's like, "No, I don't. No, I don't." So yeah, it is really interesting seeing the dynamics of the family. And you want to encourage them to open their hearts and consider if it's the right thing, and you have to kind of know when to back off. And it's really funny watching the dynamics of the family and picking it. And sometimes you see that perfect connection, and it's just it's instant. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And I think now, like I said, with people being a little more aware of just what it takes to love a cat and be chosen by a cat. I think I heard about you guys talking about the cat distribution system. Is that the cat finds you, right? And I see that again. I see that so many times. People come to my house for a meet and greet for one cat, and then they fall in love with another cat. And so I think as people are living in smaller spaces, people are understanding the value, I think, of giving an animal space and letting the animal choose you. There's something really special about that. And that's one thing that is just, it's incredibly rewarding. It's incredibly rewarding, especially working with some of the cats. I've worked with many abused cats, like physically abused, and just watching them not only heal from the physical wounds. I've had legs shattered, and but it's the injuries you don't see that are the most long lasting. I mean, you can amputate a leg and give nerve, gabapentin and a painkiller, and they're fine. But having them trust again and relax enough to be able to go to adoption events and be able to be adopted out to a home. I have to live with myself at night knowing that I have to make sure this cat really is going to be safe in this family. And I know that's something I'm sure that weighs on the mind of the people that adopt out dogs. And so yeah, no, it's a lot, but it's awesome. And I'm so happy to now kind of be like an official staff member and kind of be able to speak for the cats and speak for our fosters who do an amazing job. It's cats, it's not as glamorous as some of the dog stuff, but it's very rewarding work.
It is still very impactful in souls that need attention and cared for.
Yes.
So I have a fun question for you.
Yep.
If resources were unlimited, because we all know with this organization, we just put it out there.
Sure.
And you never know who's listening or what dreams become true. If resources were unlimited, what's one program you launch tomorrow for cats?
I would love to launch a large Johnson County shelter. And I would staff that I would have, I mean, we're almost done with down in Wichita. They're building a neonatal unit
Mhm.
with like, I would love like oxygen chambers and like nebulizers built into it with like automatic humidity, like adjustment things. Those are all things we have to adjust by hand. We just have a light that we can dim, and we can put a little bit of, distilled water in there to try to make it humid enough, but not too humid. They don't want mold. And then there's a fan. So a beautiful Johnson County shelter where we can do quarantine, where we can have like individual rooms for cats to decompress, and then we can have a whole separate kind of like I envision kind of like a cat cafe where the ones that are ready and fully fully vetted, spayed, neutered, microchipped, combo tested, vaccinated, everything kind of ready, kind of like an all-in-one facility from soup to nuts from when a cat comes in. And then we could have oh gosh, I would love like a vet, an on staff vet that's just there that I can go and bother on a daily basis. Down from my office, which will be beautiful, of course. No, but just something local to me, because I do have to do the drive down to Oz and down to Spring Hill, and it's fine. But just having something here, with Beth leaving, we don't have the cat lounge anymore, so we don't have that extra space for cats that are kind of ready or close to ready and just need a little space, need a little time, maybe need a last vet appointment or two. And yeah, I just envision a beautiful like sanctuary here in Johnson County.
Beautiful. You mentioned it a little bit, the first one, that you have bottle fed your bottle right now, and then you've also done incubators. Can you talk about how in depth that actually is and the
Oh
commitment?
heavens, yes. Oh yeah. So the first thing you have, well, number one, when you get a tiny kitten like that, step one is they have to be warm. If you feed a cold kitten, their bodies will shut down.
Oh.
So as soon as we get little kittens in, I get them right in the incubator. And if their eyes aren't open, I know they're less than 12 to 14 days. And then once they're warm, and so I know the different temperatures, there's a certain temperature. If they're less than a week old, it has to be about 90 degrees. And then if they're 2 weeks, and on 87, and so on. So once their eyes are open, I know they've hit 2 weeks, and then the little tiny baby teeth come in at 3 weeks, and then the canines poke through at 4 weeks. And that's when I kind of know. I sort of I have to gauge how old they are. And one of the big tricks is getting them to eat. Now you have one awesome foster here who is actually capable of tube feeding tiny
wow.
babies. That is something I do want to eventually be able to do. I haven't encountered it personally. Like I said, the youngest I've had is 9-10 day old kittens. And then there are maybe 5 or 6 different nipples I have to try to get them to latch. It's kind of like with the human baby. Like this group of 5, thank God, like they were super, like they latched really easily, and they ate like super, and 4 out of the 5 are doing well. One of them is kind of runty, and just not like, will gain weight, will lose weight. And so we're trying some different medications and a little bit different feeding schedule for that one. But, the mortality rate is anywhere between 25 and 75% for orphan bottle babies. I'm always happy if I can get a 50% survival. And as of right now, I'm pretty confident the 4 are going to do well. The last one, maybe not. But so when they're 2 weeks old, they have to eat every 3 hours round the clock. And that includes nighttime. And there's called the food, the bottle math. They need 9 milliliters per ounce of body weight per day. So you multiply their weight by 9, and then divide it by however many feedings per day you do, which is usually 8 at the beginning. And it's it's very intense at the beginning. And you can't, if you overfeed a kitten, they get sick. Their digestive systems can't handle it. Oh, and of course, the most fun part is they can't go to the bathroom on their own. So you have to go help them go to the bathroom. It's so fun. So magical. It's
How long does the feeding, so it's every 3 hours, how long does each feeding
okay.
typically
So that's for like the first week, or the first week I had these guys who are like just under 2 weeks old. So I was feeding, 12, 3, 6, 9, round 12, 3, 6, around the clock. And then that was brutal. I did that for 5 days. And then after that, they are able to go a little bit longer. So I dropped the 3 a.m. feed. So
Mhm.
I was able to go from 12 to 6. But don't forget, it's just like with the baby. The feed doesn't take 5 seconds. It's 5 babies and these are easy. This latest round I have are super easy. They are very eager to latch. They don't care about the temperature. I've had litters that don't like particular temperatures and particular brands of formula. They want to have a specific blanket underneath them. It's an art. Now this group is easy, but I have had groups that it's like an art form. It's like performing brain surgery, trying to figure out exactly what factors matter to which kittens. And, you don't know what they've been through. Like and your goal is, I have to get these kittens to eat. Because if they don't eat, I'm like, I guess I'll have to drive to Angie's house. She's going to have to tube feed. I'm like, no, I can do this. I can do this. And sometimes once they hit that like 3.5 week mark, when the little tiny milk teeth come in, not the canines, some
Mhm.
will, like I had an orphaned bottle baby two summers ago, and she was all by herself. And those kittens usually end up being kind of strange because they just don't have the connection with their mom and siblings. Like this was down in Baldwin City. Ivy, one of my absolute favorite kittens. She was like just 3 weeks old, but she was already running. And she didn't want to use a bottle. She wanted to eat she wanted to eat the wet food. She didn't know how old she was. So like I tried bottle feeding her, and she would fight it, and the milk would go everywhere. And finally I said, here's the wet food. This is your other choice. And then she ate it. It was crazy. She's like this little like 10-ounce kitten chowing down like an adult. And to this day, she's still really weird. I keep in touch with her adopter. She's just she acts like a dog. She wags her tail when she's happy and comes to the doorbell. She's just a strange cat. Those bottle babies always end up being super odd and super attached to people because they associate us with food from the beginning. And we're the first. I'm so honored. When I was feeding my little bottle babies downstairs a couple weeks ago, one of them opened their eyes and saw me for the first time. And I'm like, oh, it's just like having actual babies, but this might even be better. This might even be slightly better. Would never tell my kids that, but no, so they, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of, right now I'm at the point now where they are starting to wean, but like they don't know how to eat from a bowl. So I have to teach them how to eat from a bowl. Now, I'm not going to eat the cat food, but I'm going to put my face near it and I'm going to pretend, because that's what the mother cats do. They see the other cat, they see the mom eating the wet food. And while they're trying to nurse, the mom moves away. And so they naturally go to where her face is. So, I'll show them how to eat, and show them how to, they also have to show them how to use a litter box. It's really fun. And some cats are super bright and learn super quick, and then some other ones, oh boy, like not the sharpest tool in the shed, but we eventually get there. Everybody gets there. And so it's so heartwarming to watch those bottle babies get adopted. They beat the odds. They absolutely beat the odds.
Oh my God. And there has to be an emotional connection to them too after
Yeah,
the
some
hours.
certain ones are. I did keep my first bottle baby that I saved.
Yeah.
I did. Her name is Pizza Rat. Now she doesn't like me very much because she associates me with medicine
Mm.
and baths, because she had terrible coccidia. It's a parasite. She was
Yeah.
very sick. Lost her litter mates, and
Oh.
but I saved her. But she doesn't like me. She doesn't like me because every time she sees me, that's the mean old lady that shoved all that medicine down my throat and put me under the faucet because I'm gross. So of course she loves my husband and my son. Of course, I do all the work. They get the cuddles, but that's okay.
I love it. Sai, do you have any cat questions?
I do. What was it? Elizabeth. What was my question? What do you wish more people understood about cats and their behaviors?
I think people need to understand that cats need more space and patience than you think, and that even people will say, oh, the cat like attacked me or went after me. Just try to think about how it would like think about how much bigger you are than a cat. Picture somebody 20 times your size like coming at you. Like, it's terrifying. So you have to be aware of just how much bigger you are than even the biggest cat. Like, I have a 20-pound Maine Coon. He's a big scaredy cat,
You have one of the
right?
big
So
ones?
I do have a big one. I do.
I'm
And
fascinated by those.
he's a big chicken. Wonderful cats, by the way. I'm all about adopt, don't shop, but boy, the Maine Coon is special. Um, they're supposed to be really smart. Mine is orange, so unfortunately he's not smart. He's not
Mm.
smart. Doesn't know his name still. We're still working on it. He's 2. Doesn't know his name, but he just, can't have everything. Can't he looks beautiful. That's, so I think people interpret cats having normal self-defensive behavior as being mean or attacking.
Mhm.
And I think people, unless you have won over a cat or been chosen by a cat, it's kind of hard to convince people who don't like cats to like cats, but when they pick you and when you are able to soften them, the ones that have put up their walls because they've been hurt. I got a really sad boy that I took from Oz. He let me pet him at Oz, and now he doesn't want me to touch him. He makes noises, and I kind of get to know exactly what's bothering him, but you just don't know, like, does he have, a lot of times we'll have cats that are that have cage rage, and they are absolutely fine once we get them in a foster. That happens a lot with older cats. We've been getting some really sad, owner surrender sort of situations. Hey, my mom had to go to a nursing home. They don't allow cats. And here's her 12-year-old cat who's never been around any other cats. And we have to try to find her a home. And actually, we have a lot of success with those. But it can be terrifying at PetSmart, and they could be not great. But then when they go to a foster, they end up doing really well. So I just think there's the cat behavior is misinterpreted often. And so that's why I like to try to educate, especially if it's a new cat owner who isn't familiar with, hey, when a cat hisses, that's actually a really good sign that they're communicating something with you, and they're safe and you're safe, and you need to respect that. It's like someone saying, hey, back off, and then you don't back off, and then you push the person back, and they're like, oh gosh, I got hit. It's like, well, yeah, you did get hit. You didn't listen the first. I warned you,
I didn't tell you.
yeah, I warned
I'll,
you. I tried to tell you. So,
I'll have to share this podcast with Lexi. I have a 20-year-old that's in college, and she wanted a support animal, and she was thinking
yes.
about getting a cat.
Yep.
So I think this is a really good episode for her to listen to.
Yeah.
And okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Is there, or this is usually side you want to ask our next question?
Sure. Is there a cat that you would like to promote, and we can help me out, Sheila? I got a brain fog here.
So every
Or a
single
cover
episode,
cat.
yeah, it's usually a covered dog, but is there a cat right now and always in forever that's either been with us for a while, and is a special case and needs some extra loving and coverage,
Mm.
or just a cat right now that you really have love towards?
Yes, we have an amazing cat, Princess Ruby Scrat. She
Oh wow.
had um So they brought her into Oz. They found what they thought was like a 3 or 4 month old, sort of older kitten, on the side of the road. She had, not to be gross, she had maggots eating her feet. And she was a mess, an absolute mess, weighed like 3.5 pounds. And so they assumed she was a kitten. And then, of course, we get eyes on her. No, this is an adult cat. This is an adult cat. And turns out she had tumors, mammary carcinomas all throughout her body. And so this was not a kitten. This was an adult, older, adult cat, 6 to 8 years old, maybe even older. It's kind of hard to tell once it's hard to guess an age until they hit senior. So I think she's kind of right before that. Anyway, we had the amazing staff at Heritage. Our vet, Dr. Stafford, was able to successfully remove all of the tumors, and she is on scheduled to get several toes amputated. Some of them were able to heal, some of them got worn down to the bone. I had her at my house for a short time, but she's Beth's foster right now. But the good news is, when they did pathology, and it was mammary carcinoma, and they've done scans and everything, and they think they got everything. And so instead, we were afraid that this was going to be like a hospice situation. We have a much better outlook now for her future. And she's such a sweet girl. Oh my gosh, she's so loving. And she is just a really special girl. And I know it'll be hard for Beth to send her off, but it would be amazing if we found a home that's comfortable, with her. She's going to need probably consistent scans. And she has put on weight. I think now she is up to 5 or 5.5 pounds. So that's been absolutely great. And we shoulder all of that, all of the, not just the medical expenses, but just the emotion, the physical and the emotional care afterwards. I took care of a cat that had a head injury, and he was walking in circles. And then it was just, and he lost his peripheral vision. And some of these cats, it gets to you, and a lot of them, some of them are defensive and everything, but some of these cats, like this girl, Princess Ruby Scrat, well, they named her Scrat, and then Beth said no, she needs a nicer name. She's a beautiful calico, just a really pretty girl. And she goes, well, I'm going to add Ruby, and then I'm going to add Princess Ruby, and the vet and our vet goes, no, her name is Scrat. And it's like, well, can you at least add Princess Ruby in front of it? So now we have to call her Princess Ruby Scrat. So she is a special girl. And I would also encourage, we have cats that are FIV positive, like Florian and Caterpillar. We have a senior cat, Damien, who has diabetes. He's 14. We have another amazing foster who has a 17-year-old cat that was an owner surrender. A 96-year-old woman went into the hospital, and we took her cat. So yeah, no, just we have a lot of special older cats, but I'd say Ruby Scrat has my heart right now.
We will put on the cover. If you could send me over the best picture that you think.
Oh, I sure will. Yeah.
And a few of them we'll do a post too. Because if you didn't know, we have our own Instagram handle, Dog on Truth About Rescue, to promote some of these dogs and cats that we talk about on the episodes a little bit more. And then just to share awareness of our podcast with the cover dogs and cats. So, but thank you so much for taking time and meeting us and meeting you and filling us in everything with the cats. It's probably been over a year since we had an episode on the cats. I know the last season we didn't have as many episodes. We were all a little bit busier, but we are locking it in for season 4. And I think this was a great topic to start off.
I agree.
The beginning.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, me. And then I want to definitely get Elaine, our medical coordinator.
Mhm.
She has a ton of experience. She worked down in Texas where they have a huge cat overpopulation problem. And then she also worked with Great Plains and just has a lot of shelter medicine experience, which is a little bit different than your typical everyday veterinary stuff. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, maybe I'll
I'd love to
see if I
dive
can.
in more.
She is a lot sweeter and more soft spoken than me. So hopefully,
You
hopefully
were
I'll get her
very
to.
informative. We
Yes.
learned quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I just can't get over 150 cats. That's
Yep.
cats placed in homes now that have a loving creature
Yep.
in support of this. So yeah.
It's
Sai,
awesome. It's
what
hard
you-
work and worth it.
Absolutely. Yep. Sai usually says her ending line.
As always, it's never too late for a happily ever after.
Until next time.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank